Well, happy Monday morning, Business 20 students. This is Mr. Doucette, and this is week number 7 of our 8-week course. So we only have 2 weeks left, actually a little less, because next week our class ends on Saturday. I think that's October 15th. So we have this week and most of next week, but we're wrapping it up very quickly here. And so, of course, I wanted to do a video and just share with you a little bit about what you should be working on this week as you prepare for the final week next week. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And there we go. And of course, we are in, as I mentioned, module number 4, very last 2 weeks. So that's going to be behind my picture. You can't see it, but I selected that. And here we are in module number 4. Now, last week we ended kind of our look at depreciation, and we did the week before that we did mortgages. So we were looking at interest, and now we're looking at really the beginning of our financial piece, which is depreciation and inventory. Those deal with the balance sheet and the income statement. Well, this week we're going to actually look at those statements, the balance sheet and the income statement. We're going to learn about them. We're going to be doing horizontal and vertical analysis on those, and this is really very common in business. We're going to be comparing the balance sheet to itself and say, well, how much percentage of assets is cash? What percentage of our liabilities is accounts payable? So there's a lot of ways in which we can evaluate percentages within the context of our financial statement. And if we do a horizontal analysis, we're going to compare last year to this year at the same time. And so it becomes very valuable information. Not only that, we're going to be looking at ratios that tell us kind of the health of a business, how quickly we turn over our inventory, or what is our debt to asset ratio, things like that, that really help us to determine the health of a business. And all that's driven by formulas. So we'll have a formula sheet for all of the ratio formulas. But really when it comes to the horizontal and vertical analysis of an income statement or a balance sheet, it's really just common percentages that we learned way back in chapter 6, where we take the difference and we divide that by the original, and that gives us the percentage of change. And so that's really what you'll be doing predominantly in the financial statements. But again, I have a read me first file here, folder. You need to read that explains the different chapters and what we're going to be covering. Then there's a help Sienna, so I put it in the context of helping Sienna with her financial statements and being able to read them and understand them. And then, of course, there is a study page for each page. So, for instance, if I go into chapter 15, once again, I'm telling you the exact areas to study. So you're going to study 15:1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, and section 7 of chapter 15. I think there's a little bit more you don't need to study, so just stick with those 7 areas. And that's the majority of what you're going to be looking at. I, again, have the PowerPoint slides, and then I have the YouTube videos on how to do a vertical analysis of a balance sheet, how to do a horizontal analysis of a balance sheet, how to do a vertical analysis of an income statement, and how to do a horizontal analysis of an income statement. And here's the point. I didn't do a video yet on this, but I'm going to be having a Zoom session once again on Tuesday of this week. So on Tuesday at 10 a.m., we're going to be working through the book on how to do a horizontal analysis, how to do a vertical analysis on these 2 documents. So I'll be explaining that. That video will be placed right here under the preparing a balance sheet and preparing an income statement. And then I'll also be working through some, but not all, but some of the ratios, and that'll be here underneath the ratios. And I'll basically put video of me doing these items, so you can watch that video. It'll be there on Tuesday afternoon. But that's the study page. Remember, the study page is where you go. If you work through the sections of the textbook that the study page references, and you watch my video, you might not even need to watch the YouTube videos. You'll get a 90% understanding of what you need to do to solve the problems that Sienna needs your help in solving. So the study page, make sure you go through those. There's one for chapter 15. There's also one for chapter 21. On chapter 21, I believe you're only going to be doing sections 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You're not going to be doing 1, 2, 3. And that's basically where you're going to be finding the arithmetic mean, the median, the mode, and the range. And those are all very, very simple. And then you are going to be putting together what's called a frequency distribution chart. And this is where you take all the data and you group it together, maybe by a certain value. And then you're going to say how many are in this range of values, how many are in this range of values. And so it's preparing a distribution, frequency distribution chart. I'm not going to have you do the histogram that goes along with it, just the frequency distribution. And so that's what you're going to be learning in chapter 21. Again, you also have some videos and you have your PowerPoint slides as well to review. And I reference the exact slides to go to for each of the concepts being taught. So that's the study page. Again, there's some tips for solving word problems, and then there's the formula sheet right here that has all the formulas for the ratios. There isn't really any formulas for the statistics. Just learning how to do the math on finding the mean or the medium or the mode is what you're going to be learning in the section. So there's really no formulas. Anyway, you can reuse that, whatever you need. And then, of course, we have our check-in assignment. This is our last check-in assignment that involves math. Next week, it's just personal questions. So you'll be looking at financial statements. You'll be solving a vertical analysis. You'll be solving a horizontal analysis. You'll also be looking for the medium, the mean, the medium, the mode, and the range of a set of numbers. You'll also be doing a frequency distribution in your check-in assignment, helping Sienna. And then, of course, there's a quiz on these chapters as well. Some of them will be multiple choice, some of them will be fill in, and then you're going to be starting your final case study. And this is kind of a merging of last week's chapter on inventory with this week's chapter on financial statements, most notably the income statement. So you're going to be figuring out the three different types of depreciation, the average one. You're going to be looking at, inventory. You're going to be doing the FIFO, the LIFO, and the average one on the inventory, and then you're going to be adding that to an income statement and doing the math. And so it's not as difficult as it might look when you first look at it, but that's your final case study of 2 weeks to do it. It'll be due next week, and next week you're only going to be looking at one chapter. I've decided just to look at one, so that's all you're going to be looking at, and it'll give you a little bit of a breather as we end out the week. You also, in your check-in assignment next week, only have personal questions, as I mentioned, so no math. But I'll be doing a video on that next week. So that's pretty much it for this week. Remember, we are going to have a Zoom session this Tuesday, October 4th at 10 a.m. So join me for that, as I will be going over all of these statements and doing some business statistics as well. And so have a great week, everybody. Look forward to seeing many of you on Tuesday.